All right, I think we're live, everybody. Welcome back to what I hope is the last episode of drawing these avocados in color pencil. We are going to be finishing up just doing some touch-ups on the avocado and finishing the plate and then finishing the background. And then just kind of seeing what else we can do with this picture. So if you have not watched the previous episodes, go head over to my channel. There are 7 previous episodes of this study. We're studying how to create color pencil or how to create texture in color pencil. So you can also go to my website to download the free line art and reference photo. It is at jhillfineart.com/tutorials, and you'll find those downloads there, and you'll also find all the tools that I'm currently using for this project. And you don't need to use the ones that I'm using specifically, so whatever you have on hand will be just fine, but just so you have an idea of what I'm using. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully you can see this okay. So last episode we used the pan pastels to create the plate texture and shading. It's just a very quick and easy way to create getting your base layers down before you start adding color pencil. It helps to save a lot of color pencil so you're not filling in your backgrounds with your expensive pencils. So it is one of the methods that I prefer to use, or you could use something like watercolor or Inktense pencils, or something to that effect. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. And as I've been kind of looking at this picture all week long, the avocado is really kind of making me a little crazy. So I think we're going to start by just continuing to work on that. So I'm going to grab a couple of pencils here. I'm going to grab a black, a dark green, maybe a medium green, light green, and I'll also grab my white color pencil and a yellow. I've got a variety of pencils that I'm using. All right, so I'm going to address this right here. I'm going to make sure that this is zoomed in so you can see what I'm doing. Sometimes my camera does not like to focus, but we'll make it work. So I'm just going to add some little bits of yellow here and there. Even though this is a primarily green avocado, there still is all the other colors present, just the ratio is very green heavy, obviously. So sometimes if your drawing is feeling a bit flat, you're usually missing one of the other kind of like primaries or secondaries, even if it's in a very, very small amount. I almost showed up late to my own live stream. I was out and about running some errands today. I stopped at Hobby Lobby to find some linen tape to do some mounting for some prints, and which they don't carry it. I had to order it off of Amazon, but I did find in their clearance section, which I love shopping in their clearance section because you never know what kind of goodies you're going to find. They had a book of, it was a stamp collecting guide. For those of you that know me, you may or may not know this, but I collect stamps. I've done it since I was really little. I remember on the back of the Cheerios box, there was this advertisement for the Mystic Stamp Company, and I was probably like 8, 9, maybe 10 at this age. Well, anyways, so my dad let me send away for, some free stamps. And then of course there's a catch, there's a subscription, obviously. And so he paid for a subscription for a little bit, because it was a fun little hobby for me to do. And they sent me this binder with the, it was an American Heritage stamp collection. I can't remember what the precise name is, but the binder's in the other room with most of the stamps. I don't have all of them because eventually we stopped collecting them at some point. But anyways, I still have a lot, and every now and then if I am out and about or at like a antique store or something and I see some stamps, I might look through them and find ones that are just kind of interesting that, I'll just, pay a couple of bucks for and collect. Most of the time, I don't think I really have anything that's, worth millions or anything like that. But this book that I got from Hobby Lobby was on clearance. It was one of those, like a pricing guide. And I got it for like $9. It's like a $35 book. But it was from 2022 or 2023. So it's a couple years old, but it's fairly recent, so it's just got some interesting little bits of information. So anyways, I was reading through it and I was kind of getting lost track of time because I brought out some of my old stamps and I was kind of looking to see which ones I might have had. I've got some really old ones, a couple of 2-cent George Washington, the red ones, which of course if you're one of those lucky few that finds, I can't remember the actual stamp number, but the one that's like worth millions. I don't think I have that one. I wish. But I'm actually having a hard time identifying the ones that I do have. And the book, which I thought was going to kind of help with that a little bit, isn't really that clear. But I really ought to just take my collection and, have it appraised. I don't really know what I have. But it is fun. I enjoy collecting stamps. I actually went down to 2nd and Charles down in Jacksonville, Florida. And if you haven't been there, it's like a used bookstore, but they have a lot of like pop culture stuff and like records and music, board games, things like that. And they have some old antique books for sale and things like that, and they had a box of postcards, and on these postcards were a bunch of old stamps, and they're a little pricey, I think, what they're asking for, but I wanted to I've looked through them, and I there are some pretty cool ones in there, so I'd like to go back and take a peek and see if there's anything that's, I don't know, valuable. But I feel like I'm always treasure hunting. But it's anyways, the one that I did find, that I did purchase the last time I was there, it was, I can't remember what they call them. There's a specific name, but they're actual, like, when you have a stamp that's been used and it's got that cancellation mark on it. Well, these ones didn't have the typical, like, inked stamp over top of it, the cancellation mark. These ones had like a hole punch in letters, like it was a perforated cut, and depending on the letters, I can't remember which ones were on mine, but it stood for the place where it was canceled, and I cannot find where it's from, what city. So I'm not very good at doing research, but it is always fun to find things that are unusual because I've never seen a stamp like that before. I did watch a YouTube video about stamps that have those special kind of markings, with the perforated letters, and I guess there is a growing interest for those, which is kind of neat. I feel like an old person, collecting stamps. Not a lot of people do it anymore. I think it's definitely a sort of a dying hobby, but it's fun. I enjoy it. All right, I am gonna just blend this out a little bit. this section was feeling very sharp, or it wasn't blended enough for my taste. So I was thinking about how long we've taken on this project, and it's been about, let's see, this is episode 8, and we've gone for about an hour and a half for each one. So over 12 hours, worth of work. And I can't count in my head. I got to use my fingers, but my fingers are full of pencils. And I just lost my train of thought here. That's okay. We spent enough time on it. Enough time where I'm sick of looking at it, that's for sure. But I want you, if you have been watching through this and you've worked with color pencils, the time that we have taken, the time that I've taken working on this particular project for this live stream is very little in the grand scheme of things. Like, to me, this can be called a finished piece. I mean, it will be called a finished piece after this evening, but I could probably continue to work on this for an additional, 20 hours or so, just going through each individual tiny lump and bump and just really spending more time on the colors. And I encourage you to do that on your own. For myself, no one's going to want to stick with watching this particular piece for much longer, let alone I'm going to probably, set it on fire pretty soon. But, if I was, if this was a commission, or, I wanted to perfect it, I would keep working on it. And I may keep working on this, once this stream is over, if I ever want to sell this, which actually I what's to call it, for sale when it's done. I'll probably work on a little bit more, but you could really spend as much or as little time as you wanted, on your color pencil pieces. And the longer you spend on it, the better it's going to be. But you just want to take your time. You don't want to rush it. It's the one thing about doing a color pencil demonstration on YouTube is, it takes so long. As a live stream, it's not practical, I think, to take 1 million episodes to color this in. So I'm just going back and forth between all of my various colors in my hand. If I see an area that needs to be adjusted, I'll just go right on top of that with said color. This area I put a little too many highlights, so I'm just going to tone those back down by going over them with a medium green. And go back to my dark. I'm just going to deepen some of these dark values here. I'm going to go in with the black, because I see some even deeper greens. overall, I am pretty happy with how this turned out. This one's been a fun project. And if you are watching this and the stream is over and you have questions, feel free to leave questions in the comments. I will see them. Sometimes I don't see them right away, but I try to make it a habit to check for comments when I remember. You can always email me questions as well. You can find my information in the About page. Going back to that middle green just to kind of add some more through here. I'm looking for those little peaks and valleys, those little areas where, you know, if I see a light point, you know, that I'm imagining that as a high point, and so next to it, you know, would be like a darker valley in between these little bumps, almost kind of like scales. And I'm very randomly making them. I'm trying to kind of follow the same values as what I see on my reference photo. You know, if there's an area where it's mostly darker, like hunter green or something, you know, I'd try to stick with that. We don't need to do every single one. We just need to suggest the idea. I'm just smoothing this out a little bit with my mineral spirits. I'm gonna get a little bit more mineral spirits onto my brush, really drying that out on my towel. I just have a spare towel that I'm just drying it on. I'm looking for areas where it looks a little bit grainy, and I'm just going over those areas with my brush, and I'm kind of just scrubbing in just to really sort of melt those colors in between those gaps. Make sure that you can see what I'm doing here. Sometimes I realize that the camera will focus on my hand or my paintbrush and not the actual drawing, so I apologize if that does that. So I'm always kind of going back and forth between softening areas and resharpening them, and just going back and forth between those two ideas, and then it sort of just starts to come alive. Get a sip of coffee. All right, so I'm going to go in with the green gold from Faber-Castell. I'm seeing a lot of like gold tones hiding in here, so I'm just going to pop those in here and there. Just make sure my camera's focusing again. after this, I'm going to be doing a new live stream. I have not decided what time I'm going to do it. I'm thinking about playing around with the time of the next live stream. Instead of doing it in the evenings, I may switch to a morning series just to see if that works out better for my viewers, so they can join me and ask questions and follow along. I'm thinking, well, I'll put out an announcement on my Facebook and my website. So if you have Facebook and you want to follow along with me, go ahead and find me on Facebook. It's J Hill Fine Art. And I update pretty regularly with anything that I have going on. Or you can also find out any of that information through my website. But I'm going to be doing, also if you go to my website, you can sign up for my newsletter, which I send out once a month, which also has more information, especially if you are a local to Southern Georgia in the Camden County area. You can see, if I've got workshops going on, or if you want private lessons, or if we're doing like a plein air day, anything like that. It's always good to keep in touch with me so you can do art with me. So anyways, there goes that train of thought again. I can't talk and color at the same time. That is a skill that I have not yet acquired. We'll get there. There we go. Oh, I was talking about the live stream. See, I knew it'd come back to me. So, if you have gotten my newsletter, I am going to work on exploring some exploring some art history. It's one subject that I have not really dove too much into. And one thing that I really enjoyed about some of my high school art classes was that my teacher would teach us about classical artists, of all various kinds. And we would have to do a piece of artwork in that particular artist's style. And lately I have kind of been a little bored with my own artwork because I do a lot of still life, and I just feel like I could be doing better. I feel like my style needs to grow. Now that I've really focused on some skills and techniques, I really want to grow my creativity side, my creative side. I don't want my drawings to feel stale, for lack of better words, which is kind of how I've been feeling. I feel like it's a little bit stale, and I just want more out of my artwork. So that being said, I am going to just kind of explore other artists and try to let my creative juices flow and try something new. So we're gonna start off with something easy, and I love Kandinsky. It's one of my favorite artists of all time. And I'm going to do a little bit of research on him and share with you some fun facts that I learned, and we're going to create something in his style. And I don't know that I'm going to have like a reference photo or anything for you to work off of, so you'll have to just kind of take a leap of faith with me, and we're just going to kind of wing it. I'm trying to think of a subject matter, although he is very not objective depending on the era or time span of, his artwork that you're particularly looking at it. He started off as an impressionist, doing landscapes and whatnot. But I'm thinking I love his non-objective work more, so I want to get into that, and I want to play with some compositions and some color palettes. So I think if you want to follow along, I would suggest thinking about abstract art, thinking about non-objective art, and have a goal. What is it that you want your piece to represent? What do you have a message that you want to send out? Do you have a particular color palette that you want to play with? Sort of like what kind of mood or feeling do you want your artwork to give? So that's sort of what I'm going to be focusing on, and we're just going to go from there. So it'll be fun. It could be an epic failure, or it could not. But either way, I'm going to learn something from it, and I think it'll be fun. So I don't think it's going to be nearly as long as this particular project, but that also depends on what medium I decide to work in. I know that Kandinsky worked in several different mediums. I don't know which one I want to do. I might either do oil paint, or I might do gouache paint. So, not sure. Verdict is still out. Okay, let's see. Where are we? This area is still bugging me. I think it's the shape of the colors, or the shape of the highlights I don't have correct, and it's really driving me a little nuts. I might just have to let it go, or otherwise I'm going to end up overworking it. And that can be a real danger, if you just can't quite put your finger on a particular section of your work and it's just not working. Sometimes it's best just to leave it alone. Sometimes you just got to walk away from it and chalk it up as a learning curve, which I think is what I'm going to end up doing here. I mean, it still looks like an avocado. I have achieved what I set out to do. It still looks convincing, I think, I hope. There are a few little really dark areas. A little bit of contrast that I'm missing here. Hopefully that is still in focus for you all. I guess I could probably move that a little closer here. Just adding some more contrast, some darker greens on the back side of these little bumps over here. think that looks okay. Zoom out so you can get the full scope here. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. That looks all right. All right, let's address the plate. So we're going to need some gray. This is the earth green. It's got a little bit of green in it. I don't want that much green. I've got cool gray, cold gray, and let's see what else. I may even add in a little bit of this wheat just to give the, no, let's go ahead and do that now. The top of this plate is a little bit more of a warmish white. So I'm going right on top of the pan pastels with my color pencils. It does feel a little strange, I'm not gonna lie, because the pan pastel is quite, what's the word, powdery. Because it's pastel, obviously. Now, I don't know if you can use mineral spirits on top of this. We could definitely try it, see what happens. I'll just have to find a very inconspicuous place to try that. Now right up here it does get a little bit darker, and I'm going to add a little bit of this earth green because that light or the shadow is going to be picking up some of the green from the avocado, and that's also going to help tie the plate in to the rest of the drawing itself. So I'm going to use a different product as well. This is called Powder Blender. I'm going to use this to blend my pencils on top of the pan pastel because I'm a little too nervous to try the odorless mineral spirits. And let me grab my one second here. I have to grab my soft tool. And I'm going to kind of push the color palette a little bit. I'm going to add in a little bit of a lighter green. So this powder blender, I'm going to put it a little bit in this cap. Guess I gotta open it first. I haven't opened one somewhere, but I found this one at a used art store for like $3, and this stuff's a lot more expensive than that. So it was a total score. And you can use this stuff to blend your pictures as well. I just prefer to use the odorless mineral spirits. because it does give it more of a powdery kind of residue, which I don't mind using it when I'm using the pan pastels. I do need a little bit of a deeper gray. Well, you know what? I'm gonna add a little bit of this sepia in here too. Just to add a little warmth and darkness to this section. So when you're doing areas where it's shiny or has very smooth transitions of form, like rounded objects, like a bowl, it's important to get good transitions going from light to dark and also keeping the same direction. So like this is going in a sort of a C curve, so I want to keep the angle correct and make sure that the lighting and the color shifts are appropriate. And it's almost like making an abstract drawing. Where you're just doing a non-objective piece of artwork, where it's just shapes and colors. And that's what gives the illusion of something being three-dimensional. And I'm going to sharpen my pencil real quick. Actually, let me get a longer pencil. This one's not going to fit in my sharpener. Let's see. Nope, that one's even shorter. Gosh, I have worn down most of all of my white pencils. All right, I guess I need to go shop for more pencils. We'll see if this one fits. Okay, it did. Just barely. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's the longest one that I own currently. All right, so there are some highlights, some bright highlights right here. I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just looking at my reference photo and just copying the same shape that I see. And then there's also a nice bright line separating this rim from the side. I'm going to move this so I can get a better angle. And it tapers just slightly. Okay, let's see. Where else do I see some of these bright highlights? I do see some right here. So you want to look for these things, these very subtle details, because that's really what helps your drawing look very not beginner. Makes it look sophisticated. I just want to go back over some of these spots. They look a little blasé. I think they just need just an extra little something, extra color. It's that green gold that I just had. There it is. Because these are like gold little flecks on the plate. And if you want to know how to make gold with colored pencil, you definitely don't want to use the metallic pencils that come with most art kits. Those are not going to make your picture look metallic. You need to first find a picture of what you're trying to draw, and it has to do with the lighting and the colors it's reflecting and the color of the surface of whatever, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to draw. So like a gold candlestick, you know, if it's a very smooth surface, it's going to act like a mirror. And so because it's gold, it has like a yellow color in, like that's its local color, you know, it's a gold candlestick, but it's going to reflect what it's facing. So those colors also come into play because it could be reflecting something that's purple. You know, there's going to be some distortions of various colors mixed with the color that it is. So you really have to find something and observe it, and then almost like you're drawing distorted shapes and colors on a specific form. And so you just have to really look at what you're trying to, oh shoot, I just made a boo-boo. It's all right. So I didn't mean to make that mark, but we're just gonna color that right in. Boom. So anyways, yeah, anytime I get like a new set of pencils and it comes with those little metallic things, I never use them. Never have. Probably just throw them away because not one time have I ever used the metallic pencils that my kits came with. Okay. One little tiny bit right there. And let's see. Okay, so now we have 2 or 3 little open spaces here for the background. I was debating about doing pink or this maroon color. can't decide which one. I feel like the pink might fight a little bit as far as value. This would make it pop more, this maroon color. But pink is always so much more fun. We're gonna go with pink. I like pink. And if I don't like it, I can go with the darker one and just go on top of it. I'm gonna zoom back out so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna clean off my little soft tool here. I love pop art, so I always sort of gravitate towards obnoxious color palettes. I guess I could have even done like a teal or blue, because I do have those colors too. I don't have too many colors of this. Of the pan pastels. Now there is a shadow underneath this plate in the reference photo. So I could use the maroon as a shadow color, or I can leave this as is. I'm going to turn this. I need to replace the tip of this thing. It's kind of falling apart. You know what? Let's do the maroon as a shadow. So we're going to open this one too. I originally bought these two colors to do the background of a Fruit Loop painting that I never finished. Ooh, I love these two colors together. I like that a lot. Just very carefully blend these together. Well, that's fun. I like that. Very cool. Put a little bit up here in this corner. Now I can take my colored pencil and sharpen up that outside line of the plate. I think I'm going to do that. Okay. Whew, stuff can be a little bit messy. Okay, put that away, put that away. I'm gonna take my white, make a nice bright line on the outside edge of my plate. And I'm gonna find like a maroon. See how this is the Caput Violet Mortem Purple, whatever color, can't pronounce it. It's a little dark. I think I need to find more of a magenta-esque color. Oh, it's too dark too. Get something a little lighter. Try this one, Bordeaux. Yeah, that's much better. And just soften that a little bit. And we have a nice, pretty background. Well, that was fun. And you know what? Now that I put that pink there, kind of start seeing more pink here, and it makes me want to put more pink, I'm thinking. Let's see. What would that look like? Just want to pull more of this Bordeaux color right in here. And that's going to help tie the background in to the avocados more also. There's just similar, I try to use similar colors throughout my drawing That way the palette harmonizes together. You don't want to overdo it, you just want a little bit. And I'm keeping it in the areas where I'm already seeing some of those deep browns, reddish browns. I'm just making the red a little bit more violet leaning. And let's even carry some into the avocado itself. I'm keeping it on the real dark greens because the green in this, I mean, this is in the red family, so it is going to kind of neutralize. Shading with complementary colors. They'll harmonize. Just adding a little bit into this section here. Just putting little hints of this color throughout. Remember what I said earlier about adding all your primaries or secondaries? I mean, all the colors are made up of the primaries. So they are present in everything, I think. At least that's how I see it. Because when I have a color that, you know, if it's just green and it still feels flat, and I've put yellow in it already, it's probably missing a little red. Or something reddish. You know, when you say like a straight primary, I'm not talking like straight out of the tube, you know, like some variation from that color family is what I'm talking about. I love this. This is fun. I love the pink. That just really made my day. A little bit of this mint around here. I do want to see a little bit of texture in the shadow, even though it's super subtle. Keep getting dog hair in my picture. Okay, let's see. What else can we do? So I'm looking at contrast. I'm really trying to figure out which areas really need some more pop. right in here, I feel like is lacking a little bit. Just adding some more of this green gold right on the side here where it's really picking up a lot of the yellow from the avocado slice below. Add some of it in here as well. I think this looks pretty good, although my plate looks a little wonky up there in that corner. Looking at it on camera and I'm seeing it look a little out of shape here. Try and fix it. Hard to fix a perfect circle. Nah, it's not much better, but that's okay. It's just a very organic plate. Let's see, what else? I don't want to make the mistake by calling it done too soon, because there's always something you can add. I feel like there's still a lot of contrast that's kind of missing. My coffee's cold now. That's what I get for chattering on too much and not drinking my coffee. That's okay though. Okay. Well, what do you think? I hope you liked this project. It was a lot of fun. I don't know that I'll work on it anymore after this. I think we can call it finished. You know, if I add a couple extra hours on there, you know, I could probably work on it a little more, but I think for the sake of time and getting ready for our next project, I need to call this one done. But pretty cool. I think this was fun. I like it. And I hope you did too. And if you love it, you might find it on my shop for sale. So let's go ahead with the best part and tape this. Get the tape from the back. Oh wait, we gotta sign it first. Let's sign it in. Let's go with a piece of scratch paper. Not that color. There we go. Now it's finished. All right. Make sure you sign your piece too. Oh, so quick thing about tape. Make sure the tape that you're using is a pH neutral tape, because you don't want to leave any residue on your picture that could yellow your paper over time. So you want to use good quality tape. I just bought this one off of Blake Art Materials. This is their brand, but it is pH neutral. You can pretty much find pH neutral tape easily. And last piece. There we go. I'll just have to trim that side right there and put it in a mat. And I think we've got a finished product. Very cool. I'm excited for this one. All right, well, I will see you guys back next week. I'm gonna stick with Tuesdays. And let me get my calendar out because I'm pretty sure. Yep, so next Tuesday, the 12th, I'm going to try and plan on having a new project for you with the art history idea. And I will post information about that on my Facebook page and my website. And so just follow me there for updates. And I'll catch you in the next live stream. All right, thank you so much for joining. And as always, have a good night.